Now I'll be talking about UV and the effect that UV radiation can have on your skin, so the damage that it can cause. So most of the UV radiation comes from the sun. Also, it can come from different fluoro lighting. So if you're working in an office, for example, that has those fluorescent bulbs and lighting, a lot of that can do damage over a prolonged period of time on your skin as well. It can cause photosensitivity, can cause those wrinkles and marks on your skin. So bear in mind, it's not just for people who are outdoors in the sun. This can also be for people who work in offices. So melanin, as I discussed previously in one of the earlier videos, it's a protective substance that's in our skin. So it helps filter out some UV radiation. However, it's not enough to protect us for prolonged periods of time in the sun, particularly in the Australian climate. Melanin is produced by specialized cells and they're called melanocytes. So they're found in the really deep basal layer of your skin. Now, an interesting fact is that melanocytes, all human races have the same, approximately the same amount of melanocytes. Okay, so that's just an interesting fact when you consider how many varying skin tones and colors there is, from that pale yellow right through to black. So the difference of melanocytes, the damage that melanocytes can have an adverse reaction on the skin can be if skin doesn't actually produce enough. So say if it's actually not enough, but if it's actually failing to produce any melanin in your skin, that can be albinism. So you see people who are albino, and that's because they just have literally, the melanocytes are just completely failing in producing the pigment. So partial lack of pigment can be white spots across the skin, and that's called vitiligo. So anyone suffering from vitiligo, you would understand what it is, but just to give people a bit of a background too, if you're sort of wondering what other effects it can have. And then for patches, so say if it's just producing in patches but not in others, that's when you get your freckles on your skin. So melanin production is stimulated by UV radiation, okay? Leads to darkened skin, which provides some protection against the sun. So when you go out in the sun, melanin is produced from the sun, and you can then go darker in your skin tone, which gives you further protection against UV. However, it's going to lead to DNA damage to your skin cells. So it's a little bit of a catch-20, and it's a very, very hard balance to find, particularly in the Australian climate. Other countries like Ireland and stuff have a little bit better a chance at managing that and finding that healthy balance. So you got to remember though, like even though you're trying to produce melanin in your skin, or you want to get that nice glowing tan, the effects can be really, really damaging. So you're at far greater risk of skin cancer, and skin cancer can start when the UV damage affects the DNA of the genes that control the skin cell growth. So Australia has the highest skin cancer rate, I'm pretty sure, in the world, and 99%, so between 95 and 99% of the Pacific skin cancers have been proven and been caused by UV radiation from the sun. There's three main types of UV rays. So you have UVA, UVB, and UVC. Now, you don't have to worry about UVC. Luckily, it is the most damaging radiation ray from the sun. However, it does not reach the Earth's base layer, and it doesn't get through the atmosphere basically to damage your skin. So the UVA, so when you think of A, stands for aging. So it's actually going to break down collagen and elastin in your skin in that dermis layer, and it damages all the DNA on your skin. So UVA is like the aging ray. If you're exposed to too much UVA, that is what will age your skin. Tanning beds have a really, really strong UVA and are really damaging on the skin. I know when I was a teenager, living in Ireland, I used to live on tanning beds. However, I'm hoping that by wearing sunscreen on them, because otherwise I would burn, that I didn't get too much DNA damage. But I mean, this is something that you can correct later on as well, as long as you're aware of it. The UVB then is the burning rays. So that will affect your epidermis, which is your outermost layer of your skin. So this is what makes the skin redden and shows in sunburn form. Okay, so UVA will reach the dermis and prolong, that's the deeper layer. The prolonged exposure and damage to too much UVA, it can cause damage to your blood cells, your collagen and your elastin, your fibroblasts and mast cells, which are the connective tissues that will create that collagen and elastin that you need to have nice, plump, fresh looking skin and not have it, you know, aging and fine lines and wrinkles. It can damage your nerve cells and the receptors, and it can also damage your Langerhans cells of the immune system. So by going in the sun, everyone thinks, oh, tans look so good and you feel so good. But unfortunately, the saying, there's nothing healthy about a tan is very, very true. So exposure to UVA and UVB over long term can cause a lot of reddening on the skin, burning, and then you can get a tan. But I mean, a tan is not necessarily healthy. You might feel like you look a little bit healthier, but the damage that's been done to your skin is quite dramatic. So there is another skin type that a rating, it's called the Fitzpatrick skin type. So this depends on when you go in the sun, how long it takes for your skin to show redness. So a Fitzpatrick skin type 1, for example, would be like the palest skin you can get. So a Fitzpatrick skin type of say 4 or 3, it would take them a lot longer. They could be in the sun for 20 to 30 minutes before reddening would show on their skin. However, that does not mean that they are protected any further from the damage. Some Fitzpatrick skin types, because of the more melanin, they do get a lot longer grace time in the sun before that damage occurs. But a Fitzpatrick skin type, so obviously your traditional pale, freckled, red hair, obviously as soon as they go in the sun, it feels like you look at the sun and you're burnt. A really important thing to know that a single sunburn can take 6 weeks for your skin to recover. So initially your skin will dry out. That will disrupt the acid mantle, which is your protection layer of your skin. It removes the internal and external lipids, so that's why it'll be super, super dry and dehydrated. Hyperpigmentation, photoaging, all those freckles, all those marks and blemishes that you see is all caused from UV. Lack of elasticity, epidermal thickening, so your skin can start to thicken, and again, suppressing the immune system. So the UV index is a good one to go by as to if you want to go in the sun for that 5 to 10 minutes unprotected by sunscreen to try and get some melanin production and some vitamin D, which I'll talk about in the next video. Looking at the UV index is a great way. So they have a rating of when is sort of a suitable time to be out in the sun, and as little damage can be caused, you know, in the early morning sort of time. But the midday sun is at its strongest, and then it gets, in Australia, it gets quite strong right through till 3 o'clock. So that's just a little bit about UV and the damage that it can cause on your skin. And in the next video, we're going to talk about the vitamin D production, and we'll go through it then.